Coming to you live.
Consider the cooker. Why, hello, and welcome to Geek in the City Radio, coming to you live from the Guardian Games Studios. I am Aaron Duran.
I am Binarita.
And I am Cable Hashitani.
Look to the cookie. Now I remember what that's from. Never mind.
My camera's falling down.
It's from the timeless film of John Cusack, America's Sweethearts. It's a...
Yeah.
Remember when he's in that fake kind of self-help thing
Yeah.
that white people go to?
Uh-huh.
And the whole time his yogi is telling him, it's like, you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. And all of a sudden he's ready when the studio pays the self-help plays millions of dollars.
Sure.
And he says, what else I have to do? And he goes, consider the cookie. This is what my brain does, folks. This is how it do.
I must not have seen that movie because none of that rings a bell.
It's funny. It's one of those movies that is funnier if you have worked in film production.
Okay.
Because like there's a part where Seth Green, does Robot Chicken and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's an assistant marketer to Billy Crystal's marketing team for the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things you see is after they watch the first trailer, Billy Crystal looks at Seth Green and he says, did you cut this? He's like, oh yeah, I did. He's like, it's great. He's like, also, never ever answer that way. If someone asks you, did you cut this trailer? The first thing you have to ask them is, did you like it? And if they say yes, of course you cut this trailer. But if they don't like it, you blame it on somebody else. But the other thing he gives that is so painfully true, especially if you're in marketing and you're in film marketing, they talk about how when you're at the junket or whatever, everything is about the movie. Everything, no matter what happens. And Billy Crystal goes to Seth Green and says, I don't care if your dear grandmother passes away, God forbid, while you're on this junket. The first thing you go downstairs is you go downstairs, you get in front of the mic, you say what happened, and then you say, it's a damn shame too. She would have loved this movie. That is very true how that system works, by the way.
I haven't seen this movie. I need to see this movie.
It's goofy and
it's
wacky.
Julia Roberts, John Cusack, Billy Crystal, written by Billy Crystal, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Hank Azaria, Stanley Tucci, Christopher Walken, Alan Arkin, Seth Green, Larry King, and Rainn Wilson.
Jesus. That's everybody, right? There's
Yes.
no one left.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's really not.
Stanley Tucci has one of the greatest cinematic lines of all time in this movie because they hire Walken as like this Walken is like this mashup director of Stanley Kubrick, Spielberg, and the Unabomber. I think there's even a reference that he bought the Unabomber's cabin to finish editing the film so he can get away from society. And there's a part where like one of the producers is like, he's like, you had to just hire Hal Holdman. You had to make a Hal Holdman picture. That's what's it, Tucci?
Mm-hmm.
And the young producer's like, but the man is a genius. And Tucci's like, no. There's only been one genius in the entire history of show business. He's like, you know who it was? The senior Wences, the Sharpie on their mouth. Sadai. He had a career for 40 years.
That's a deep cut in and of itself.
Right? But if you get it, that line is gold.
Sadai.
Sadai.
It's okay.
He's like, there's only been one genius in this industry. I love his hand and the Sharpie.
Yep. Christopher Walken was Hal Weidman.
Hal Weidman, that's it. Not
Stanley
Hal Holbrook.
Tucci played Dave Kingman. I'm going to have to look up where to watch this now.
It is charming. It is legit charming.
I am always a sucker for John Cusack movies. This is also 2001. It's Billy Crystal. It's Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's Julia Roberts. Like that mix in and of itself is like really good
From that era.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially that era.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's two movies that they're in together. I had not.
Who?
John Cusack and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, I believe that. Because they were in.
High Fidelity.
Yes, together.
Well, that is a running bit in this movie. It's called America's Sweethearts because they play a Hollywood power couple.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you fell in love with them with The Eye Doctor. And it shows clips from all their other movies.
Right.
There's one that you fell in love with them for like Love for the Defense. He's like, I object. I object that I have fallen in love with my client. I mean, it's all these things. But the whole premise is when the movie starts, they've been broken up. They broke up very publicly and awkwardly. So this next movie is their first one because they've bombed separately. So this is them coming back together, even though they still clearly can't fucking stand each other.
Okay, that rings a bell.
It works.
I remember it coming out. I just never saw it in the theater.
Not many people did. It didn't do that well. You know, that was also the era when Hollywood would spend 120 million on a comedy, which they just don't fucking do anymore.
Let's also, like, I did say it came out in 2001. It came out in July of 2001. So that was still months before America lost all of its innocence and sense of humor.
Right.
About anything.
Boy, Gilbert Gottfried learned that the long way.
Ooh.
Because he did what? A 9/11 joke like 2 weeks later?
He did.
For a charity event, right?
Yep.
I just flew in from New York. I don't remember what he said. It was the definition of too soon.
Yes.
But it's one of those things that years later, every comic were like, just the cojones on that guy.
Yeah.
I kind of wish he's like,
every comedian wished they had done it.
Yeah, they did.
Every comedian did.
Yeah.
It's like, but only Gilbert would have done it.
Only Gilbert didn't give a shit.
Yep.
The only other one who would have come close was
America's Dad.
Yeah. Bob Saget.
Yep.
Mhm.
He's the only other one that would do it.
Yep.
He was too busy telling the longest, most egregious version of the aristocrat ever fucking told.
Yep.
Yeah,
Whether you found Gilbert Gottfried funny or not, and I went back and forth with that.
Yep.
He is to be respected within the comedy.
He's hilarious, but also a little bit intolerable.
Oh yeah, he knows that.
Yeah,
Or
and he
he knew
really
that.
leans into it.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of it, right? Is like he's like, look, I'm fucking annoying as shit, but people look at me differently because of that, and I'm going to take advantage of that every fucking moment that I can.
Made all his money doing Aflac commercials. That's where the bulk of his money came
That's
from.
right.
And-
Didn't
and-
he lose that contract because of the 9/11
He
joke?
did. So they altered the Aflac Duck's voice to be similar to Gilbert Gottfried. He also made a lot of money off Disney residuals for Iago.
Oh, that's true.
I think, and I don't know if anyone remembers the Clerks animated series, but he is the voice of Patrick Swayze in the Clerks animated series.
What?
It's the episode where
That I
Patrick
don't
Swayze
remember.
opens a pet stop next to the Quick Stop. They're like, Patrick Swayze, yes, I'm movies Patrick Swayze.
I don't remember that.
I starred in Ghost and
Yeah,
what's the dancing one?
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
Oh my god.
He was my favorite Mr. Mix's Spitlick.
Did he play him?
Yeah, on the Superman animated series.
Oh, I never remembered that. All I remember is
Really?
Pee Wee Herman as Batmite.
That was on Batman
That
Brave
was
and the Bold.
Right.
But yeah, on the Superman animated series, Mix's Pitlick was Gilbert Gottfried.
That weirdly works.
Because
so
the first
well.
time he comes out and he says something, you knew it immediately
know it's
because he's
him.
like, "Hey, McGurk!" I'm like, did they cast Gottfried as Mix's Pitlick? That's a choice, but it was him. It was great. He's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh man, Ryan pointed out Senior Wences was 103 when he passed.
Who dat?
Sarai, the guy with the hand.
Gotcha.
So right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
South Park parodied it with Jennifer Lopez. Taco kisses.
Oh,
Which is
God.
why there's that video on Jimmy's birthday at the horse brass. It's just my hand and his hand, and I'm like, "Oh, Jimmy, happy birthday! What do you want?" He's like, "Kisses." I'm like, "Oh, Jimmy."
Yep. All of
Yeah,
these
they put a
things are
wig.
true.
Carmen put a wig on his hand, and he was Jennifer Lopez. Taco kisses. I mean, it probably should be offensive, but you know, if the bit works, it works.
It is and it's not.
It is and it's not. I mean, that's the voice that Senior Wences did.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Man, there was a time, man,
Some
that
things
he
are timeless.
yeah. But there was a time like he was the way we see like Courage the Cowardly or Courage the Insult Dog or Triumph,
Mhm.
like that was Senor Wences, but like much more long lived and culturally relevant.
Mhm.
You know, God, now my brain's just going on random TV shit. Like remember for again, Denise is probably too young for this, but Cable, do you remember the Unknown Comic? The dude that just wore a bag over his head and just cut out an eye hole. And, yeah, like that was a thing.
I don't think I ever saw any of his shtick, but I know
it was weird.
Yeah, I remember him.
That led into the. I think Greg Barrett and I have talked about this ad nauseum, and maybe Christian too. Again, it's a period of the time, but those dudes that used to wear the giant top hats on their shoulders and they would be bare chested, like their nipples were eyes and their belly buttons were their mouth, and they go. And they would do bits.
What?
I try not to remember that one.
They did.
That's a very specific era of humor.
They also used that in like an Irish Spring commercial. I feel like.
Did they really?
Something like that. It was some sort of body wash or soap or.
I just don't understand why it's funny. Like, what makes it funny?
Well, first off, there were only 3 channels, Bean.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe
for if anyone let you watch, public broadcasting.
Yeah, maybe you had PBS. You know, and the average person couldn't really afford cable yet.
Sure.
So you just so that's how you got
when cable was actually a thing.
Right.
Like that was cable showed up when I started to become a preteen. Like my childhood was just ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS. That was it.
Yeah. And that, that led into stuff like Battle of the Network Stars, which I know they tried to bring back in 2017. I still think you could do it properly. Battle of the Network Stars.
That implies it was done properly in the first place.
I know. It
really the dumbest fucking thing.
But I love taking like slightly unknown or slightly kind of forgotten B-list TV and movie actors and making them compete in Olympic sports against each other.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm sure that at some level, my brain was only interested in it for Barbie Benton.
Oh.
So.
Barbie Benton.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
when
right.
I was far too young to understand
that's right.
why I was interested in Barbie Benton.
Each network had a team.
Yeah, it did.
So ABC, their captain was Gabe Kaplan, who is Cotter from Welcome Back, Carter.
Welcome back.
Linda Carter, Farrah Fawcett, Richard Hatch, Apollo, Ron Howard, Hal Linden, Penny Marshall. CBS, their captain was Telly Savalas.
Who loves you, baby?
Who loves you, baby? Gary Berghoff, TV's Radar. Lee Merriweather. Oh, CBS's lineup's not that strong. And then NBC had Robert Conrad. Man, ABC had the heavy hitters.
Yep.
Man.
They had Wonder Woman.
Oh, shit. They did. Oh, shit. The second season of Battle of the Network Stars, Gabe Kaplan still the captain. LeVar Burton made an appearance because this would have been Roots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man. Well, there you go. It's another one of those, classic Geek in the City. Aaron and Kay will talk about old shit. How come we can't get new listeners? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you're talking about Senior Wences and Battle of the Network
It's shit that happened before a lot of people were born.
Hey,
yeah, but bringing it around to LeVar Burton and Star Trek.
That's true.
We do have new Star Trek news today.
Yes. Hey, good job, Cable.
Hey, thanks.
So
I've done this before.
So for a while now, I think even since season 2 of Discovery, they have talked about a Section 31 show with Michelle Yeoh.
Oh yeah,
definitely need season 2. Yeah.
People have been clamoring for it
Clamming
since
for it.
Discovery season 1.
Clam.
That's
yeah, and I think the biggest holdup forever is that Michelle Yeoh's career just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and busier, which is awesome. Good for her. Takes a lot of time to shoot even a 10-episode series. That takes a lot of time out of your life.
Especially if you're first on the call sheet.
Yeah. First in, last out kind of thing. So today, Paramount Plus announced that not only have they greenlit, but they're basically in production for a Section 31 TV or a Section 31 movie on Paramount Plus starring Michelle Yeoh. That is their massive Star Trek announcement today.
Production begins later this year.
Later this year. So
Yeah.
they're probably in pre-production then.
Yep. Release
Yes.
date has yet to be announced. It's just the announcement. There's like an image on Twitter.
A special movie event.
Yes.
But this is no longer talk. Like, she is clearly locked in. She has signed a contract.
Right. No,
It is in the schedule.
It is announced. And
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we're getting a movie instead of a series.
Mm-hmm.
I like Michelle Yeoh, which is, I think, kind of why we all wanted a Section 31 show to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Because me personally, as a concept, I still don't like Section 31.
I see. So the show was announced to start in 2018. It went into
Right.
active development in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. And then something happened.
yes,
And then things happen.
it could be the thing that is at the banner, at the top of the banner that says Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh.
Right. Also, returns.
Mhm.
Returns.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I like I said, I personally think if they're going to do something with Section 31, I like more an idea of like a one and done contained film that, will have ramifications, but I don't know if I'd want to watch 10-hour long episodes of,
Right.
by default, kind of really horrible people doing horrible things.
The bad guy.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch an
it-
entire
it's
series.
like
of
a whole.
The bad guy.
It's like a whole division of Goebbels.
Whoa. Wow.
Sorry, was that too much?
That was a
I mean, I shouldn't expect you to just
No.
go.
no.
She did a lot of experiments.
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, no,
No, you're not wrong.
you're not wrong. And
Oh man, that was
and
I'm
their
sorry,
way
I
to
did
beat
just kind of blurt that out.
That
Like,
was-
sort of
that's-
insensitive comment.
someone start
but
behind the
it's-
bastards today.
no. That
No,
it's
but-
just like that is a bitter pill to swallow. But it swallowed. It must be.
Yeah, no, you're right, because they tried to win the Dominion War by poisoning the founders.
just
Same
straight
with
up
Iris.
straight up
That-
genocide.
That has never come back to bite them in the ass
Yeah,
or
no.
have any consequences whatsoever.
None
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
nothing.
Spoilers for Picard season 3.
Yes.
Um,
And we'll talk about that next week when the show wraps up, because
But-
we had talked about not only doing like a full season recap thing.
But you're right. Like by necessity, a series about Section 31 would get pretty dark
Yep.
pretty quickly. And the way television happens nowadays, everyone you just got to keep jumping the shark and like a bigger shark and a bigger shark. And
Mhm.
so like before long, the show would just be like brutal. And
Yeah.
and people are already not happy about like the darker Star Trek themes, mostly Discovery. And like I know that some of that is just whiny baby bullshit.
Yeah, because
fans.
it's got gay people and a black woman's in charge. That
Yeah,
they're
but
like, oh.
but they're not wrong that
Yeah.
Discovery has been has had a lot of
Sorry,
darkness.
I was just there a future where a black woman is in charge and there are lots of gay people everywhere. Yeah,
What must that be
let's do
like?
that. I love this. This is great. Can we have more of this, please? Sorry,
I was gonna say something funny, but then it would have started a whole nother rant. And
Yep.
How to know?
I realize too that not only do we have to talk about season 3 in its entirety of Picard next week, we have all of season 3 of Mando to talk about next week.
Oh, jeez.
So next week is all the stars,
Yeah, it's all the stars next week.
right?
It's the battle of the streaming stars.
Oh,
Somebody get us some graphics for that.
okay.
No, like listeners, we've got
Yeah,
smart.
do it. But I
computer-
want it to look like Battle of the Network Stars.
Not it.
I don't have time. You guys know what I've got going on.
Same, me as well.
See what's become.
You guys know too.
And Cable already called not it. So the three of us cannot do it. Our beloved listeners must come to the rescue with some Battle of the Network Stars, Star Wars, Star Trek themed banners.
Battle of the streaming network stars.
So what this means is that someone has to get a picture of the Mandalorian in his armor, but with Gabe Kaplan's mustache. I don't know what the Star Trek side looks like. I don't know, unless you put Telly Savalas's head on Patrick Stewart's body.
I was gonna put Patrick Stewart's head on Telly Savalas's body.
That works too.
That works.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
I like that.
See, it practically designs itself, you guys.
It does.
it's true. We had a young Rob Lowe. Okay, I got to go looking at pictures of Battle of the Network Stars.
But anyway, yeah.
God damn, Farrah Fawcett's hair was a character unto itself.
A
Wasn't
young
it?
Rob Lowe or a
was.
young Chad Lowe?
Rob Lowe.
How old is Rob Lowe?
He's pushing 60, I bet.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He old.
Yeah, that's why his character in Parks and Rec is not that much. He's 59.
Wow.
The obsessed with being healthy. Now, granted, he went through a stage of his life when he was not healthy.
Sure.
I
guess it just.
He was probably also the first celebrity that we kind of forgave for making questionable choices with sexual partners. Because even she admitted, I think, like, I had a fake ID, totally fooled him, knew exactly what I was doing. She was not 18. Yeah. Anyway,
But like he had,
was
he
literally
had
too young
done
for it.
his due diligence, but she was selling a different.
yes, as I
Product.
remember the story, yes, he still took heat for a long time,
And he
for
did.
it.
He did.
Yeah, and I
his
think that's
career
also
suffered for
what
it.
led him to like clean up,
Mhm.
go sober. Like,
Yeah, that all scans.
that'll do it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, was it? Yeah.
There you go. Norm says Section 31 only works when it's the spice. You can't make it the whole meal. And
Yeah,
that's
and
how,
you-
and that's how it was for a long time.
Right, and you can't make them the good guy either. I mean, they are not the good guys in Deep Space Nine.
No, they're like literally mad scientists.
Yeah, that operate outside the law of Starfleet or the Federation.
Because what you don't know,
Mhm.
you can't.
And even they know that they're not legal and they're not correct, because in Deep Space Nine, it's established they don't actually have a home base. They all meet in some weird psychic nexus that they're linked together. So you can never destroy Section 31. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm curious what era it's going to take place in. Because if I remember correctly, part of her weird wonkiness with being Mirror Universe is she can only be a certain amount of time away, like chronologically, from when the Mirror Universe fell.
Yes.
It was
The mirror universe ended up collapsing in on itself
right.
sometime between the Deep Space Nine era and where Discovery's
the
jumped to the
30th
future.
century, right?
Yeah. So there's like a 700-year period where it collapsed, and I think it's at the closer end to us of that 700-year period, so it's closer to DS9.
And it was the doctor, what's his name?
David Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg. Yeah, Dr. David Cronenberg.
Yep.
Who was like, you're doing this because you were too far from the temporal implosion of your entire universe, and it's trying to correct itself.
Yep, it's just catching up to you.
Yeah. That's also where they acknowledged the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah.
In that season.
That's right.
Because they had an actor appear in a Kelvin uniform, and they said like they're from some universe where Romulus was destroyed and it created a whole new timeline when Ambassador Spock went back in time. So which was kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, I'm jazzed for it. If my gut anything, if I had to guess, it's gonna exist somewhere post Picard era. If they are gonna place it somewhere. I don't know.
I was hoping it was going to be closer to the Strange New Worlds era.
Maybe,
So back again.
Solely so that, like, the people that I would like to see her play with is I would like a return of L'Rell, the High Chancellor of Klingon.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool.
Because I will watch her and Mary Chieffo all goddamn day long.
Yeah, and it would be nice to get what's his name back too. The Klingon who was completely altered to be a human through surgery.
Oh, Latif, yeah.
Him.
Yeah, I remember the actor's name, but not the character.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're right. I could see
His
that.
name was like Alex or something,
Yeah, it was something like that.
and he was Burnham's love interest.
Yes.
until
For
he
the-
wasn't.
In season 2, basically.
Well, yeah, the season he was
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Right. Well,
Until
he was in
until
one.
he wasn't.
Yep, he was also the love interest in season 1.
Yeah, but he's much more prevalent in season 2.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't remember him being around for both seasons.
Yeah, he kills Culper. Remember they got in trouble for Bear Your Gaze, and then every single previously on Discovery, they kept showing him snapping his neck, and I'm like, okay, we get it. Culper's dead.
Right.
You don't have to show this every time. But that did also lead to like one of Saru's best moments, I think, in season 2,
Mm-hmm.
when Culper runs into him in. It's when Saru, I think, is in command of the Discovery. He's there. Pike's something. I don't remember what it was, but Dr. Culber and that guy,
Mm-hmm.
they finally confront each other and they get into a fight, like in the mess hall.
Mhm.
And someone says, like, "Should we break this out?" And Saru goes, "No, let them get it out of their system. Stopping this fight will actually make them continue to pent up shit they have to get out of." Because the one guy was
the
not,
fight will make it worse.
because the other dude wasn't in his right mind. He was being manipulated by the Klingons fucking with his brain when they did surgery on him.
Right.
So,
And Culber was also not being honest with himself about what he was feeling.
right. He was trying to be like nothing had changed.
Mhm.
Ash Tyler.
Ash Tyler. Thank you.
God damn. Yeah, the actor's name is Shazad Latif.
Mm-hmm.
And Ash Tyler.
Ash Tyler. Yeah.
That is.
Super white name.
Yeah, I
Which
can't get
which
quite.
he's not, by the way.
No, not at all. I can't quite get over the fact that I'm like, why did they settle him with the whitest name they could find?
Right. When he's
Maybe
clearly
that's
not
just
a
the
white
name
actor.
that Klingons assumed would pass under the radar. And start with.
Honestly, yeah. Like, well,
Okay,
technically
fair.
he's a Klingon undercover. That's a made up name
Well,
entirely.
It's weird. He's not undercover because he doesn't begin to remember his Klingon half until medically they begin to pull it out of him. He's a total sleeper. He's very much a sleeper agent. He has no idea.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Trying to remember what his Klingon name is.
Because remember, he's having nightmares about being sexually assaulted by L'Rell.
Mm-hmm. Except he wasn't.
Except he wasn't, but that's how his brain is processing it. So.
Right. Yeah. Basically, the brainwashing didn't take, and real memories are clashing
where we
with his
got-
fake memories.
That's where we got weird Klingon
House of
nipples.
Mokai Cho.
Oh,
Huh?
Volk.
Volk.
Right.
VOQ. Volk.
Volk, son of none.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that.
I think I will go back and rewatch some old episodes of Discovery in anticipation for the movie
I think so
for
too.
Section 31. I think that'll be worthwhile.
Mhm. Maybe some of the DS9 ones also.
Yeah,
They're good.
they are. I think I'm due for rewatching Deep Space Nine anyway.
I just did a couple months ago.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, if I'd have known, I would have joined you on that.
The other news.
I'm always
out
down
of-
for another one. You know,
Yep.
I mean,
The other news out of Paramount Plus today is that they are also looking at making a Galaxy Quest TV show.
yeah,
It's in early development.
right. Which, you know, is essentially basically vaporware in terms of if you were to do software technology.
Sure.
But I mean, look, I'm all down for it. Why not? I mean, why the hell not? Galaxy Quest was great, and it was kind of great Star
It
Trek in a
was.
way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine you get the cast back. Maybe
I
as guest
mean-
appearances. So do you do it as the next generation kind of thing?
I think you kind of have to. I don't want
Do
the
we-
original cast back.
Do we know what the premise is?
No.
Because what would be interesting is if the new Galaxy Quest is an inside look at the cast of the Galaxy Quest TV show when it was still on. So it's like a show about a show.
Okay.
Okay.
I would accept that.
And then
that-
you can just hire all new actors who are
to play
younger.
the young versions.
Yeah.
That's I like that.
And that way you don't have to deal with Tim Allen. You don't have to worry about whether or not Sigourney Weaver is, willing to participate full time.
She seems game for a couple appearances because she genuinely loves that movie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she would be down for it. It's just much like
It's the
Michelle
full
Yeoh,
time.
she is busy.
Well, all of
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
For them, not all of them. But what's his name? Guy, head of security. He's pretty busy.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Is he? What is he doing these days?
He's staying busy enough.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think all of these people are, if they're not actively on screen, they're producing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Tony Shalhoub, because he's on the Fabulous Miss Maisel, right?
Yep.
Tony
That's
Shalhoub's
in its
busy.
last season coming up.
But still,
Yeah,
have-
that's in its final season, and
but-
he's not a primary character in it.
Yeah.
He's not a huge role.
you could do it. You could do entire things where, like, Tony Shalhoub's he's older now, and he's like, I was never comfortable being, Chief Chen,
Yep. Tech Sergeant Chen.
Tech Sergeant Chen. He's like, I'm not Asian, but because he
I would-
intentionally squints awkwardly for that whole movie. Oh, it's all a choice. It's like a total choice to do
I
that.
didn't remember that.
Yeah, I did.
Mhm.
I like that is one of those that if you address that in a sequel, I love it.
Mhm.
Just so you can just go, yeah, that was not okay. I don't know.
It wasn't
why."
cool.
To be fair, I was stoned most of the time.
So apparently that was all his idea, to always be stoned and or eating.
Great.
So he
I
have
loved it.
something to do. Yeah. It was great.
So if they don't go the direction that Denise has suggested, which I think is a valid way to go with that,
Mhm.
you do the Office only Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
If you do the Next Generation, then the person that you bring back is Justin Long.
Right.
Mm,
But
mhm.
now he's a writer. He's not an actor. He's a writer.
Yep.
I mean, hell, if some of those kids are still acting, you can get some of his club back.
Yep. But he's the character that you bring back and go, yeah, you are now our longtime link with Galaxy Quest. And that you've been writing on the show, but things are real. And then something happens and they need
to do it again. Yeah. That could be fun.
Yeah. And Justin Long would I feel like he would be up for that too.
I think so.
I've
He's got
watched
good
his
comedic timing too. I like Justin Long.
He does. I've looked at a lot of the things that he's done in his career. He was down for weird shit.
Yes, he is.
He's already this is confirmed. He's doing it. He's doing Tusk 2.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a Tusk too.
Yeah, I told you this actually. So you probably forgot. So
Yeah.
Kevin Smith has announced it about a year or so ago. But if I remember correctly, what year did Tusk come out? 2014?
Hold on, I just had it here.
Yeah,
2014. Oh yeah, 'cause
So-
it was my first screener.
Yeah, it was your first screener. That's right.
Mhm.
So I think he has talked about it's written. It won't be a long shoot. And he'll probably do the same thing. He'll shop it. He'll do the Tusk tour. Like it probably won't be to theaters traditionally. But he's talked about if they time it right, Tusk 2 will come out on the 10th anniversary of Tusk.
Oh wow. Classic.
Yeah. So that makeup on Tusk is super disturbing.
I know.
It's
And
I
so
still need
that's
to
the
watch
part.
that.
That's the part that confuses me. Is like, okay, if you haven't seen it, I won't tell you how it ends. But you know how it ends, and I'm like, well, where does Justin Long go from there?
Well, I don't know.
Oh my god! And Kevin Smith is such a weirdo sometimes. I just I
Sometimes.
I don't even think that I can begin to guess because whatever I come up with might not be anything.
He
like
also
that.
apparently finally within the last few months, he got whatever studio has been running like Clerks 3, like they've been helping him because he's been
Mhm.
producing well for him and making him money. I think they greenlit and gave him the money for Moose Jaws.
Oh my god!
And I think it might
Finally.
be like Jason Mewes' co-directing debut he mentioned.
I thought he was already directing stuff.
He was. But well, not debut, but like in the Askew universe.
Mm.
I just love the idea how open Smith was about the pitch for Tusk for Moose Jaws. He goes to the studio and they're like, "What movie is it?" And he's like, "Well, it's like Jaws,
But it's a moose.
but it's a moose."
That's it. That's the whole premise.
Okay. Because that's part of his Great White North trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tusk,
Tusk.
Yoga Hosers, and then if he ever does Moose
Yep.
Jaws.
Jeremy Howard, Caitlin Cullum, and Jonathan Fire were the other 3 members of Justin Long's crew in Galaxy Quest. Only Jeremy Howard is actively acting still. Caitlin Cullum is working as a production designer, but she is still in showbiz. Jonathan Fire has done 3 movies. Galaxy Quest was his last movie.
Okay. I mean, but you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fucking love Guy in that movie. You have a name, Guy. Do I? Do I?
Yeah, what's funny about that movie is Sam Rockwell was the person that I didn't know anything about, and he was just hilarious. And it's like, who is this guy? And then he just kind of blew up.
Is there air? You don't know. Yeah, he's so good in that. They're all good in that. Sorry. So yeah, there's a lot of fun potential for a Galaxy Quest TV series.
Yep.
Especially if they don't just try to make a generic sci-fi show that kind of is a parody of Trek. Like you have to recreate the concept behind Galaxy Quest. Otherwise just give me season 4 of the Orville. If you want something that's started as a parody but then became a beautiful homage to Trek, that's the Orville.
I think both the Orville and Lower Decks were inspired by Galaxy Quest, but have moved the bar.
Oh yeah, 100%
significantly.
Yeah,
as to what you can do.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool. Do you want to take a break and then talk about Avatar?
Yeah, pardon me. Yeah, let's take a break and we will come back with Avatar. So we will be right back. Welcome back. I know it's such an abrupt turnoff.
So abrupt.
You know, we still can't sync up our light color in the studio. I look sickly, actually.
Your light is too white, and you should really sit over there.
I guess that's true, probably, huh?
There's that. I think your camera is different.
Yeah, it's not the best camera.
I mean,
it is a good camera, but
you guys have the same camera as each other.
Yes.
Mine is the one that's different.
Yes.
You know what? I'll deal with it later. It's not something that has to be. I got other things going on right now.
Maybe we don't figure it out live.
Then yeah, and also that. Yes.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck it.
So, Avatar, The Last Airbender.
I don't know why I wanted to go Avatar.
I don't
He
know.
is the very last airbender. I don't know why. Also, I always default to the fucking gummy bears too.
I was just about to say.
I don't think I know the Gummy Bears too.
Gummy bears.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere. Their adventures are beyond compare.
They are the gummy bears.
And they are named for what you think.
Yeah,
And
I
yet
know.
they were never a toy.
Yeah,
It was just an original show.
There
Yeah.
might have been.
They
There might
became-
have been a toy.
no.
Hey, Avatar.
There. Yeah. Hey, Avatar.
Hey,
So this week
if
we
you were the
watched.
last airbender, but you were made out of gummy bears, would you eat yourself?
Uh,
And they
It's
were
a simple
vaguely-
question,
they're vaguely
Cable.
German.
yeah, of course it was German.
There's a graphic gourmet, Tommy gourmet.
Don't jerk me around, Cable. Answer the question.
Gourmet.
What? If the last airbender was made of gummy bears, would you eat them?
Well, yeah.
That's a good answer. I was afraid I was going to have to bite you. Oh, God.
Okay,
All right.
Harry.
Hey,
Hey.
Cubs win. Cubs win.
So the 2 episodes of the Avatar: The Last Airbender that we are on
A
for
show that is
season 3.
distinctly not gummy bears.
It is not gummy bears. Are episodes 3, The Painted Lady, and episode 4, Sokka's Master.
Yes.
One of the 2 of these is so far one of my favorite episodes
Right.
of the series.
Of the whole series.
Of the whole series.
All right. Well, then in that case, maybe we'll breeze through the Painted Lady so we can spend more time talking about your favorite episode.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
This is kind of the no looking back episode now.
Yeah, all of them are. They are in they're in the Fire Nation. They have to get from point A to point B by a certain date to
Right.
Make sure that their plan works while the Fire Nation should be at its weakest because the Firebenders shouldn't have any power.
Mhm.
Right.
So this episode, when Aang and his friends come across a fishing village being poisoned by a nearby factory, a local legend comes to life to help the townspeople. And by comes to life, it means that what's her name?
Yes. So, by the way, I wanted to start by pointing out
Yeah.
that, yes, season 3 is we don't have time for the big elaborate plans we had been discussing up until now. So, us, the kids, this gang is gonna infiltrate the Fire Nation and
Mhm.
get there, and the other rest of the army is gonna meet them there separately. So they're all
Right.
supposed to be there at the same time, but they've decided to part ways. Every episode so far has been let's stop here for a day or more and figure something out. And just do other stuff that is not traveling in a hurry, like you keep saying you need to be doing.
Right.
Sokka has a very detailed. We must get here by this date, and then here by this date, and we're only. I think this episode he makes the comment of what if, and hear me out, we combine our mealtime and restroom breaks for simultaneously.
And they correctly respond with gross no.
Yes, but that comes across as a very kid thing to do.
It's a very Sokka thing to do
Yeah.
because he's the logistics guy, he's the planner,
Mhm.
and every day, like they get further and further away from the plan, the schedule, and he's like, we got to get back on. I've been that guy. I'm frequently that guy where I'm like, we made a plan. We got to stick to the plan. I'm gonna freak out.
So this is one of my favorite things about the Flash TV series is it gave us Captain Cold by way of
oh my god,
what's his name?
No,
not Eccleston.
Yeah,
you know
what we do.
Yeah,
we create a plan. We stick to
it's
the
like,
plan. The plan fails, and we do a different plan.
It's like every plan has 4 steps.
Yeah,
you make the plan, execute the plan, wait for the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
Yeah, that's the line.
That is every plan. Like, and
Wentworth Miller.
Yes.
Wentworth Miller is the best Captain Cold.
He is pretty damn great for sure.
Ever. Like, I believe that the movies have not bothered to try to make a Captain Cold because why bother? Wentworth Miller has already done it and was perfect.
I could see that for sure.
I don't know what makes a good Captain Cold or like is he accurate enough or whatever, but Wentworth is fantastic. I don't care what Captain Cold is supposed to be like.
He's kind of goofy in the comics, honestly.
Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold did for Captain Cold what Danny DeVito did for the Penguin.
Oof.
No, you're right.
Hi. Go sit back at your table, kid.
Yeah, lots of children going free range today.
Yeah, those weren't free range children. Those were children that were supposed to be sitting at a table. I went and yelled at them.
It's what happens when your gaming table has 9 kids.
Yes, that's why we anyway.
Yeah, that's
inside baseball. Lots of kids. Anyway, Sokka needs to embrace the plan making a la Captain Cold. You make the plan, you execute the plan, you wait for the plan to go off the rails, not if, when. And then you throw away the plan.
Yep.
And that's what the Team Avatar needs to do.
That's what Team Aang is having to do right now.
Aang is pretty good at throwing away the plan.
Yes.
Both Sokka and Toph, or Katara and Toph, are better at adapting once the plan has been gone off the rails.
Yes.
So
right.
Yeah. But
so anyway, this episode.
This episode it's more about showing the difference between we have to do the thing because that's how we save everyone. We can't save everyone along the way. And the argument of like, then what is the point?
Right.
If you are not willing to save everyone along the way, what is the point of trying to do the big thing that saves everyone?
Right.
Like both of those types of compassion are necessary.
Right. I think that this episode really sort of, the first 2 seasons we're getting to know the characters and they're sort of getting to know themselves and sort of like realizing who they are in the world. And now in this season, we're getting a lot of opportunities for the kids to just like really continue to flesh out who they've decided they are in the world. And that's, for Katara, that's, being a bleeding heart who's never going to not stop and help, regardless of whatever else is going on. And Sokka is, he's very singularly focused when there is something to be focused on, but he will always have his sister's back. And maybe he resisted at first, but it is to the, but he will give in to, what Katara needs or says needs to be done, even if it is to the detriment of his plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then in that regard, Aang and Toph are both just kind of mostly along for whatever everyone else wants to do.
Pretty much.
Because Aang catches... Okay, so I guess I shouldn't get too far ahead of us.
That's fine.
Katara, they spend the night, and Katara sneaks out and does stuff to help the villagers. I think she provides food the first night.
Mhm.
And then the next day,
Yes.
everyone in the village is super stoked and like looking happy. And they all believe or accredit the good fortune to the painted lady, a
Mhm.
spirit that is known about those parts.
Right.
And I think Katara gets a little bit of a taste for, that positive feedback.
Yeah, it's what Aang gets all the goddamn time.
I believe earlier in the episode. Oh no, I'm thinking about next episode. Never
Mhm.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she I think she kind of gets into it,
Mhm.
and like how excited everyone is for this mystery person who helped, and then she goes a little far with it by now actually disguising herself as the painted lady, and again each night she's doing more and more to help the village, but it's definitely one of those teach a man to fish sort of situations.
Right.
Right.
And that's her and Sokka even get into it with each other, like, oh yeah, hope that whoever's helping them in the middle of the night every night keeps doing it, because otherwise they're just going to be back in the same boat. And he's also not wrong.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely right. Because fixing the symptoms is not the way to cure the disease.
Exactly.
And the disease in this case is a factory upstream that is polluting the water, which is
Yes.
why everything is bad right now.
Right. And so with that argument, Katara is like, oh, okay, now I see what I have to do. It's not that my plan is bad. I just need to escalate the plan.
Right.
Mhm.
And Aang catches her at this. And for a moment, you think he's mad. Like, you've been lying to us about this whole time? And she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, and she's like, he says, no, I think that's great. Let's go do the thing.
Let's go do the thing.
He's along for the ride. He's not even going to spend any time being upset about the lie.
No, because he gets to go destroy things.
Yes.
Which is
And-
kind of what he wants to do right
Yeah.
now.
Like Aang is chaotic good. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's not lawful, and he's absolutely good. He's chaotic. He's chaotic.
Yeah,
good.
he's chaotic. I'll
Yep.
give him that for sure.
I think older Aang probably becomes has to hit that level of true neutral.
Right. But
Right.
right now he's 11, and all 11-year-olds are chaotic.
Yes.
Yes.
As
Says checking the
evidenced.
hallway again.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, they are.
So this is all going pretty much great in Katara's mind, except for now it's been 3 nights that they've spent at this one village, even
Mhm.
though they're supposed to be on a schedule.
Right, because they've had to stay here because
Appa was sick.
yeah, Appa was sick.
Sick.
Except Appa's not sick.
Part of her ruse to keep
Yep.
them there longer. And so after they've destroyed the factory where the army gets its metal that pollutes the river and the village, Sokka catches them, and he is super pissed because, again, he has a schedule, and also he's like, we can't stop to help every little village around and
Mhm.
along the way, like you were
Mhm.
saying. And they argue, but then they decide. Actually, no, it's decided for them. Almost forgot. The army shows up to start attacking the village.
Sort of. Katara does get the opportunity to say no. Like, I am making the decision that I am going to help everyone along the way.
She
Right.
specifically says, I will never turn my back on people who need help.
Yep. And then the army attacks. It's like, well, okay, Katara's right.
Yes, yeah, the soldiers show up and they're like, okay, now we have to do the thing.
Mhm.
And the group puts together a really elaborate performance to basically create a more believable painted lady. I love every little element of this. So they've got Appa on moans.
Mhm.
And I think they're like doing it out of a cave so that it like really echoes out into the
Mhm.
area. Toph is like lifting and dropping a boulder for
Yeah.
a nice big booming
Mhm.
sound.
Yeah, essentially doing like the biggest taiko drum ever.
Sokka is playing some sort of a flute type instrument for some extra eerie tunes,
Mm-hmm.
and then Aang and Katara use air and water bending for some good ethereal effects. And then they also co-attack these soldiers until they've either run off or are defeated,
Mm-hmm.
and the village is saved.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Except for in the fighting, Katara's disguise gets ruined, and they see that she's not only not really the painted lady spirit, she's that girl who's been coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, I think they recognize her as a waterbender.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
now,
no,
not
that-
only is she impersonating one of their beloved spirits, but she doesn't even go here.
Yeah,
She's
she's not
There's a
even one of
double-
them.
yeah. Yes,
She's
she's not
not
one of
part of the
them.
Fire Nation, and even though the Fire Nation factory was polluting the river for this Fire Nation fishing village, they're all still Fire Nation.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're still the enemy.
But she delivers an effective apology, and more importantly, they convey the fact that, like, look, y'all needed help, and by the way, you guys really should have been able to do any of this for yourselves.
Mhm,
You know, like the only people who are typically going to help you is you. You're a community, and so now together they all clean up the river and depollute the area, and now they really can prosper again.
Yep. I think the thing that is the most unbelievable about this episode is this happened in 3 fucking days.
Yep.
Like, you do not, like, you can't clean a river in 3 like
well, no,
well, in an
hold
afternoon.
on. It was the cleaning up the river was the 4th day. This is the day they arrive, the day after she fed them, the day after she gets medicine, and then the day that they fight off the soldiers and clean up the river.
That's a lot.
But what I mean is, like, they only actually do use like half a day for cleaning
Right.
up
And
the
there
river,
is
and that's,
kind of like magic involved too.
I suppose,
That always
Sure.
kind of helps, yeah. So magic.
bending.
Yeah, I said magic.
It's magic. Come on.
Fine. Mutant ability.
And then
Magic.
the cherry on top of this episode is that at the end of that last night, Katara is visited and thanked by the actual painted lady.
The spirit of the lake. Yep. Just kind of gives her a wink and a smile. Big old thumbs up from Buddy Christ.
I was going, what's his name from fucking Love Boat?
Oh yeah.
That's right. Little double finger guns.
You are really set back in the
Which is funny is I don't
Late
watch
70s,
any of
early
these shows, but I like the references.
I know you do.
I might do better about finding publishing work if I can, get into like the 90s maybe
This is true.
as my references.
All right, so
Cable's gonna go yell at more
he
children.
is. Oh boy, I wish I could be there for that.
You should hand me one of those cookies while you're talking. I can chew quietly.
You'd better. What are you doing?
It's safe.
Ah,
Carry on.
My cookies.
Was the children properly punished and admonished and beaten?
I don't beat children.
There's your problem.
What is no?
We're not allowed to do that anymore.
Ah,
Like as a whole.
fucking woke.
Right.
Wow. Okay. No, I'm not beating children. I give them the "I'm disappointed in you" face.
Which is far worse.
Yes.
Yes.
Psychological
Yes.
beatings. Anyway, chapter 4.
It's called the Mexican way.
Sokka's master. The kids are in a new town. It is nighttime, and they. Oh no! Wait. Where's your synopsis? You always do the synopsis.
It's right here. After deciding he's the least valuable member of the team, Sokka seeks out an apprenticeship
Oh.
with a sword master. The rest of the gang tries to adjust being without him. The imprisoned Iroh may not be as beaten as he seems. So, 2 things are going on in this episode and both of them are what make this one of my favorite episodes.
I can see that for sure.
One of them is this story that focuses on Sokka and learning from a master, which is what, like, he has that moment where he talks to the rest of them because the three benders save the day again, and Sokka plays cleanup
Standing
duty.
by the on
Again,
the sidelines.
It's like, yeah, watch Momo. It's like, I'm gonna bring up this tidal wave. I'm gonna blow this wind over here. I'm going to create this chasm. Watch Momo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's having some feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I think he said something along the lines of, and I only caught this in the rewatch, so anyway, like you guys are all so special,
right.
and I'm so very not.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just doesn't feel like he even compares to the rest of his team.
Sure. If you are the one person on a superhero team that has no superpowers, this is how you're going to feel, unless you're Batman.
Yep. And
Sokka is not yet Batman.
Right.
no. And then they decide to help make him feel better by going on a shopping trip.
Sure. Retail therapy always helps.
Sure.
Damn right it does.
But that then leads into he's looking at weapons and he's drawn to a particular sword,
Mhm.
and it is brought to his attention that it is made by Piandao, who just happens to be this greatest sword master
Mhm.
and maker in fucking Fire Nation history. Oh, also he just lives right over there in that castle.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it was Aang who has the idea, like, that's what you need. You need a master. I've had one. Katara's had one.
Right.
Toph sort of has also had one. You know, a mentor to teach you more about the thing that you're already
Mhm.
kind of good at, but like really help you hone your skills and potentially become a master yourself.
Right.
It's to give you a deeper sense of purpose, I guess, is really how they're sort of conveying it. And so he decides to just go knocking on this guy's door.
Mhm. Which is what you do. And what I appreciated about this is this gave the writers and the creators of the show an opportunity to showcase that Sokka has learned things along the journey. So we don't get I'm the funny, goofy sidekick Sokka. We get the Sokka that, like, when the master comes out and says, so why are you deserving of my time and
Right.
attention? Why did you deserve to be taught swordman? He's like, I don't have an answer for that because I don't know that I am worthy.
Yeah, you can tell that Piangdao he's over it. He challenges Sokka by saying, like, let me guess, you've come hundreds of miles from your little village because you were the best swordsman there, and
Mhm.
now you think you deserve to learn from the master.
Yep.
And Sokka is just like really having a self-esteem crisis right now, and he's like, I don't know that I am. But also, I think he also says, like, actually, I've been all over the world, but it's not a brag. He's just like, you know, I mean, like, well, not what you said is not exactly right. This is what's
Yep.
up. And for that reason, because Sokka's like, I don't actually know if I'm worthy or not, that influences Piandao to actually agree to train him.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the indication that, oh, you actually are ready because you have learned enough to know that those things don't make you deserving. Those things
Mhm.
don't mean that you are entitled to them. It means that you have learned enough to know that you know nothing.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this before that Sokka always felt like, to like use another show, he's always felt like the Xander of this group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he does the jokes and the comments and stuff, but he doesn't do anything in terms of abilities of everybody else. And yeah, he starts to feel more and more left out. And in a way, he's worried he's going to become a hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which he does not want to do.
Which he doesn't want to do. And it's good because this finally doesn't give him a purpose in the show. I think the viewers know the purpose.
Mhm.
It gives the character a purpose that
Mhm.
now he understands
Mhm.
what he can do. And it also, in a way, the gang kind of took him for granted for a long time.
Oh yeah, which
Sokka was just always going to be there and do shit for us.
they showcase by going, so what do we do now? I don't know.
I don't
Sokka
know.
makes a schedule.
That's
Yeah.
that's a very good observation. I hadn't really thought about it that way. I did think it was really funny that like the minute he's not around, they miss everything that they're normally groaning about.
It's also because those three characters are reactive. Sokka is a proactive character. Aang, Katara, and Toph are at their best when they are reacting to a crisis. Sokka puts together plans before there's one.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, like again, this is why this is one of my favorites, is because of how much they have taken the character that we've seen, they've shown the growth that the character has gone through and acknowledged that growth, and then given him this lovely moment of let's expand further on you. They go through all of the usual tropes that we have seen with any swordmaster training an apprentice. Weird thing like the things about learning calligraphy, learning painting, and what arts and culture mean to a swordmaster, as well as any type of politics or understanding terrain. And Sokka still takes his very Sokka approach to them.
Yeah. If you don't know Sokka, they seem like reactions that are silly and maybe even lazy. But he really does, and he doesn't appear to be taking it seriously.
Right.
But you know, like the guy tells him, you know, like your imagination is limitless. So, you know, do with that what you will. And he does. Every single reaction that he does for each different task or test is completely out of the box and, you know, requires imagination, even if it seems like he's just like, you know, looking to kick back and take a nap. My absolute favorite is when he has to paint the view of the waterfall that he only gets to look at, like he gets a quick glance and then he has to draw it from memory. And when he shows it to his new master, it looks like a toddler's drawing.
Yes.
But he added a rainbow. And Piandao says, he's like, you added a rainbow. And Sokka, in just like the most precious little child voice, he's like, is that okay? And I loved it so much. I don't know why, but like, yeah, I don't think he did it to be silly. I think he's just like, this is what makes me happy. I'm drawing this beautiful scene, and the thing that would make it even more pleasant in my mind is this fantastic rainbow.
Philosophically, from an artistic standpoint, he still drew what he saw. Just because everyone else didn't see the rainbow doesn't mean that he didn't. There's like, if you look at it from the standpoint of, you look at the work of Vincent van Gogh and how he painted the world as he saw it.
Right. And everyone said, oh, this is surrealist. Or,
yes.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's like, no, he painted what he saw.
I see. It's very good. That's very good.
Yep. Yeah, all of those little moments are goofy, but they are also very philosophical, which is the only way to ever discuss philosophy in popular media. You must do it from a goofy standpoint because it's fucking silly. And yet it's very profound.
And more importantly, he's not trying to be silly or not take it seriously. And yet at the end of this training montage day, you know, he's like, wait, what do you mean I did good? I failed every task that you gave me. He wasn't not trying. He was just being Sokka in how he responded to all of these challenges and yet still looks back at what he did as failure.
Sure. It's like, oh, I didn't do it the way that other people do it.
Yes, because that's what it is. Like, I didn't do what you expected me to do, so that means I failed.
Yep. And Piandao, every time he does that, he's like, okay, this kid actually gets it.
Right.
It's like, this kid can be taught because he's not thinking, he's not doing what is expected of him. He's doing what he feels.
What's for him.
Yeah. Which is the basis for any becoming a master of any particular thing.
Yeah, he outlines creativity, versatility, and intelligence as like the traits of a great swordsman.
Yep.
And so it doesn't even matter that like in the actual fighting tasks, he didn't always do very well.
Nope.
I think a couple times he just actively runs away from his opponent.
Yep.
Which I think almost anyone would objectively look at that as like, that's a fail. If we're talking pass fail.
But on a field of battle, if you know that if you fight, you're going to lose, but if you run away, you're going to live. How is that a failure?
That's true.
It's this episode was weirdly deep.
Yeah.
For being fun and silly.
Which is funny because I read other reviews of it, and a lot of critics consider this a throwaway episode.
They're
Most
dumb.
Critics don't know what they're talking about.
They are incredibly dumb.
Right. It's like how most people disregard the episode in Next Gen where Beverly, she finds out she's in a pocket universe and everyone keeps disappearing and basically ghosting her. She's like, my son, Wesley. Like, what are you talking about? You've never had a son named Wesley.
Yep.
And she has that line of like, if everything I know is said is true, that means the universe must be wrong. And people tend to consider that it's fun, but it's kind of a throwaway episode.
It has become a very profound episode as far as explaining what does gaslighting look like.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, back to the
Yeah, that's fine. To harken back to the beginning of the episode, the reason that the three benders were doing bendy things
reacting
is that a meteor fell from the sky and caused a fire and they put it out.
Mm-hmm.
So when Sokka is presented with the opportunity to make his own sword
with a special material
he's like
of his choosing,
he's like, can I make it from space rock? It's like, sure, I don't know where you think you're gonna get space rock. So he goes and digs up the meteor and brings it back. And
with all his friends.
Yep. And then they forge a sword out of the meteor rock, which is great. It's a lovely looking sword. And this is where Sokka truly proves who he has become. And it's like, here, I've made the sword. The sword is for you. It is worthy. You are worthy of this sword. And Sokka's like, I am not worthy. I've been lying to you the entire time. My name is Sokka. I'm from the Water Tribe. We're your enemies. I don't deserve anything that you've given me. And they launch into this amazing fight.
Yes.
And at every turn, it feels like Sokka's like, oh my God, I'm about to be killed. And instead of being angry, the master keeps saying things to him that are just, it's like, yes, that's exactly what you should have done. Yes, this is perfect adaptation. Yes, this is using your surroundings.
Oh, way to take the high ground.
Yeah, against your opponent. You learned from Obi-Wan.
Even my head when I watched it, I was like, well done. You've chosen the high ground.
Yeah. So that when he doesn't win the fight, but
he not. And for a moment, he once again thinks he's gonna die.
Yeah. But instead he's like, that was perfect. This is like, you have the makings of everything that needs to be a master swordsman.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you just have to keep practicing every day and keep being true to yourself. And they're all like, wait, why aren't you going to tell us? It's like, well, I'm not limited to what nation we are from. Like, this is very narrow thinking.
I wrote it down because it was really good. He says, the way of the swords doesn't belong to any one nation. Knowledge of the arts belongs to us all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, again, not just about swordsmanship, but really anything. does not belong to any one people. And
Yep.
that is so what's the word? Opposite and anathema to what the Fire Nation stands for.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely want to be in control, and only certain people are allowed certain things.
But we're given a glimpse of a couple things at this point of why Piandao has this reaction, and that is in the game tile that he gives them as a token, and then that same symbol on that's on the game tile is also on the door, and it's the White Lotus, I believe.
Yes.
Which we've seen before, that's an organization that Uncle Iroh has been part of. And they are clearly they're not an organization. They are a society within each nation that is working together to go, we need to knock this shit off.
Yes, the White Lotus does appear to sort of transcend nations.
Yes. And that tells you more about what road Sokka is now traveling down. I for a character that came in at the beginning to just be comic relief, this was a very inspiring direction to take the character, and says a lot about how they respect what they have created for the character. So I really enjoyed it. Speaking of Uncle Iroh,
yes, the B plot.
The B plot to this.
I fucking love this B plot.
Holy shit! Like, I have never felt like I need Uncle Iroh's motivation, because he is in the cell acting for anyone who watches like he is devolved into a wild animal or a drooling idiot, and yet he's actually working out every single moment.
Swole Uncle Iroh?
Yeah.
They even managed to draw it so that he looks dead-eyed when the guards are around, and then when they leave, his eyes go back to like a normal, alert, human who has not lost a single faculty.
Yeah, in animation and illustration, that's easy to do. All you do is add and remove the white, the little dot of white in the color of your eye.
That is what it is.
Yeah, that's all you do.
But just like the down to the smallest detail to really like sell his performance.
Yeah, it's great.
By the way, their entire page is dedicated to swole Uncle Iroh. Even
who knew Uncle Iroh was going to be a thirst trap?
And there's even ones that are like, "My Uncle Iroh give you the gains. And do not forget to have jasmine tea after lifting."
Oh man,
I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, he is training constantly, and just keeping it absolutely under wraps. He is, but you don't even see him take his shirt off until the last act of the episode.
Yeah, where he's doing one arm pull-ups.
One arm for his food, one arm for pull-ups, no shirt. He is fucking ripped.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Someone drew him again with prison tats. Some of those prison tats are airbender symbols, and it just says Iroh across his chest.
Oh my god.
Put in like the Gothic font. And I just found a YouTube page of someone who used Iroh's prison workout. If it works. Apparently it does.
I'm sure it does.
Because it's just lifting constantly. So.
Yeah, it's just body weight.
Yeah. You can do a lot with body weight.
You can.
We have a lot of it.
So yeah.
I mean it like that.
I know.
Those were an interesting pair of episodes. I had to rewatch them. Because I accidentally went through and watched like 1 through 5 all in one sitting when we started rewatching again. So which has been good, because then I've just been rewatching as we go along. The beach is the next episode.
And I could have sworn that you said this was your most favorite episode of the series. That's why it's highlighted like that on my notes. Oops.
I think it is also up there. Like Sokka's Master is one of my favorites, but the beach does a lot.
I'm excited for it, and I know that we talked about it, and it sounded like it was going to be a really dense episode, which is why I didn't want to combine it with 3 and 4.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't
Yeah.
because it's almost one that we should do by itself because it deals with all of our villains.
Right, and we haven't spent time on our villain characters in a while.
Mhm.
No, and even when we do, they're chasing our good guys, so that's what's going on. That's not what this episode is. They're taking a vacation.
Right. So you don't even have that primary objective to base their behavior around.
Nope. What happens when villains don't have heroes to pick on? They
Wow,
turn
when
on
you-
each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
spoilers. Yeah, that's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah. Horrible people take it out on one another if they don't have good people to take it out on.
True facts.
Yep. That's just real life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gross. It's a gross way to live.
But yeah, I did want to plug a thing, sort of.
Do it.
If you're into RPGs and you're into Avatar the Last Airbender or Korra, The Legend of, this came out this year.
Yep.
Avatar Legends. This is a role-playing game where let's see if it doesn't just take place in the period of Aang or Korra. It does take place in both of those eras. So
Right.
you can either play during the era of Avatar Kyoshi,
Mm.
Ooh.
during the return of Aang, the last Airbender, or the era of Korra, or, and this is where a lot of people are going because then they can avoid having to have an Avatar character.
Right.
You play during the 100 Years' War.
Oh.
Which is cool.
So
the time between
the time
Kyoshi and Aang.
from when Aang disappears to when
Right.
Aang returns,
Right.
which means you get the rise of Fire Lord Ozai and his predecessor. So yeah,
So you can play in the era of the High Republic, Fall of the Old Republic,
Yes.
the Rebellion era, or the
Everything
New
is
Republic.
everything is a Star War.
I mean,
Dave Filoni
Yes.
was part of
shit! I didn't even
this.
think about that when I made that joke. That's right.
Yeah. So there is
It's part of the game too. Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
No,
This
Filoni
is
probably not.
No,
But I bet
So-
he'll play it.
this is the core rule book for the role playing game. It also there's also the adventure guide, which has the creepy owl.
Got your owl.
Yep.
Mm.
If you
Love an
really
owl.
want to get into it, they also have a combat deck and fancy dice. Now, the reason that these are only D6s is because this is a powered by the apocalypse game.
Hey!
And-
Cable's favorite.
It is my favorite. I bought another fucking powered by the apocalypse game yesterday. It just came out.
Not that one.
Not this
No,
one.
he
It
told
just
me
came
about
out.
it.
It's
What did
called
you say-
Apocalypse.
What did you
Kings.
say? It's basically. What did you give me the pitch of it?
Okay, so the pitch for itself says this is based on things like Hellboy and BPRD, both the comics and the movies. And
Okay.
it's the concept around Apocalypse Keys from Evil Hat is that you're the team of monster hunters like the BPRD,
Mhm.
and you're working with the monster. That happens to be the key point in either bringing about the apocalypse or stopping the apocalypse,
Which is Hellboy.
which is Hellboy.
Which is was it Amon Ra?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
That
That doesn't matter. Hellboy.
yeah, I keep wanting to go to Oksana Moon and I'm like, nope, that's the mummy.
No.
But I bought the book yesterday. I start flipping through it. I'm like, oh, okay. I know what the elevator pitch for this book was because they went into Evil Hat and went, so here's the pitch. It's Hellboy, but queer.
It's
Unrama.
Anum Unrama,
Yeah.
Ah, right.
which is not Egyptian.
No.
No. It's
But yeah, Avatar the Last or Avatar Legends is the name of the RPG. If you're into role-playing games and Avatar the Last Airbender, this is the game for you, especially since it's powered by the apocalypse. It's low rules, high storytelling, and that's exactly what you want.
right.
When does your campaign start?
I'm not running this one yet. We do
Yet.
have a staff member that is running that. They're running a campaign for the staff. Keith has been running that. Keith is one of our DMs for Kids D&D. So
Oh, that's
they're-
cool.
Yeah, he's out there right now, kind of not pulling his hair out, surprisingly. But yeah, I'm still going to be a champion for the Powered by the Apocalypse system. I so much enjoy the game that we play together, and every time I pick up another book and that's in that system, it's like, why aren't we talking about this more?
It is a much simpler, easy to use system.
Yeah.
But I will say that if you would ask me to play a game like this in the Arasaka Yojimbo game, even just like 5 years ago, I would not have enjoyed it because I would not have felt comfortable with the heavy role playing part of it.
It does take. You have to be comfortable with the role playing element.
And character development.
Yeah, and kind of know the nuts and bolts of what is role playing to begin with.
Mhm.
The Powered by the Apocalypse system makes a lot of those assumptions.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, I've seen people that have played D&D their whole lives, and Powered by the Apocalypse or the system that's Blades in the Dark
Oh,
is
Forged
real-
in the Dark. Yeah.
is really hard for them because it's a different type of play. Not the act of getting in the character, but just you get used to this is what I want my character to do. Your GM says, all right, it's going to be this, make the roll. And then you act out your character dependent on the outcome of the roll. And neither of those games work that way.
Nope.
And that can be hard for a lot of players, even really, really good players, even really good, DMs and GMs. I've seen, Matt Mercer, who's like this legend of DM. I've seen him run Powered by the Apocalypse games, and it's good, but there's a disconnect there.
Sure.
It's just a different style completely. Not that people should not try it out.
I think that one of my favorite examples that's out there is the McElroys that did their second season. Like their first campaign was D&D, and that was the balance arc. And
It's Adventure Zone, right?
Yeah, Adventure Zone.
Right.
Everyone loves the fucking balance arc. I love it. It's fantastic.
Right.
But their Amnesty arc, which was Monster of the Week, Powered by the Apocalypse. Oh man, that's so good. It is so good. It is underrated out of that. I like it, if Bex agrees with me, she'll back me up.
I don't know if Bex is here today. Oh,
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay.
Yeah, the Amnesty arc made me cry in parts. Like
Wow.
it was, oh man, it was so good. Yes, can confirm. Thank you, Bex. So like there are things that you can go out there and listen to some Powered by the Apocalypse games and see if it's the right system for you.
Yeah. I'd recommend that.
Yeah.
And go to YouTube. There's a bunch of real play
Mhm.
shows out there that do that. I know sometimes that can get overwhelming because you'll find out like, welcome to episode 35, and they're all 3 hours long.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that in a way that like, oh man, I wouldn't have liked it. I just wouldn't have felt prepared for it personally because I wasn't really comfortable with a lot of role playing, even just a few years ago. I'm sure there's plenty of people who maybe that's the perfect first system for them because you don't have to learn so many mechanics. You can just have a fun story time with your friends.
I think it's great for kids. Like if you're a parent and then you're looking for a game system for kids, a Powered by the Apocalypse game would be great because kids' imaginations aren't as limited as adults.
Yeah.
True facts.
It's not that we're limited. We've put up societal
Yes.
blocks.
We have
It's
to
funny that you're
relearn.
talking about this because I just saw something from Magpie Games. They just announced the next source book. Pre-order Republic City for Korra. And they're like, get into mech fights, car chases.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the technology jump from Avatar the Last Airbender to The Legend of Korra is, I find, jarring.
It gets
And I'm looking forward to watching it just so that I can understand why.
it does work. I kind of feel like when they were developing Korra, a couple of them were big Eberron fans.
Well, that stands to reason.
I don't mean that as a dig. I mean that as a
No.
completely positive thing. But think of Eberron when you begin to watch Korra and being like, oh, okay.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Just what I've seen of it makes sense.
Yeah.
A free RPG day is coming up in June. It's
Cool.
June 24th. Find a friendly local game store that is hosting it because one of the Avatar Legends will be one of the featured games that you can pick up
cool.
a freebie of.
Nice.
So
Excellent.
I always enjoy free RPG day just to see stuff.
yeah, if your friendly local game store is participating, great. Find out what they're doing and some of them might have their shit together and no.
Well, there you go.
If they're not doing it, please ask them politely.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, get your shit together.
They have some time to
Please.
order a kit.
It's true.
Kits aren't cheap.
No.
It's like free comic book day.
It's only
not
free to the
for the
attendee.
retailers.
Right.
So while you're there, buy it. If you enjoyed the game, buy the damn game.
Yeah.
Or buy some dice, even if you don't. You know what? Start the first step to becoming a dice goblin begins with but one purchase.
It's like when
Yeah.
you go to the bar and at the end of the night, the guy's not going to charge you a tab, or you know that your tab is way less than it ought to be. You need to tip really, really well because that guy just did you a solid.
That never happens to
You
us.
get a free game at the board game shop. Buy some fucking dice. Buy another thing.
I feel like we're talking about both our sponsors right now, tangentially.
We are.
Yes.
I didn't even.
But all of
mean,
them.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't even being specific. That's just a
Right.
general thing that happens a lot.
Yep, I get it. Well, we should wrap up.
Yes.
Yeah, next week, all the star. Wars
All
and
the
Treks.
star. Wars and
Mhm.
Trek.
Yes.
That's right.
The
Season-
battle of the
Season
streaming
3s
stuff.
of Picard and Mando.
The conclusion of one
Ah,
family and the
yes.
beginning of another.
Dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun.
I mean, kind of.
Dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Benarita.
And I'm Cable Hashitani.
We will talk to everybody next week. Bye.
Bye, nerds.
Bye.
Fucking solids.